team effort. We got a great team. I think the best team in Barlow history. Possibly top team in the state, hopefully. And, you know, we got a great team. We came out here, we wanted it, and we executed.
How am I going to remember them? Well, just like that over there. Just that they set the bar high, they set a goal, then they had the courage to go work for it. And they got to realize it today. That doesn't happen very often, so really is something special.
Sean, you pick Tillingly, don't stop. Unbelievable experience. These guys, I mean, I would not want to do it with anybody else. Love every single one of them. And then hearing those sweet, sweet words that were going victory, nothing better. I mean, at that point, you know you're on top of the world.
We're back. It was a long, long road back. And the road's long and the moment's short, man. And for the first time in my life, I'm going to enjoy this one. That class is going to go down as one of the most special classes in the history of NCAA football. That's the Connecticut Team of the Year. I don't know where they rank, but I'll go to war with those guys over any other team.
It's really important for our school. Our school community's been behind us the whole year, from the athletic director straight on through to the president of school texts me, straight on through all the teachers, the kids. And it's a very important moment for our school, and I'm very happy.
It's unbelievable. I'm speechless. This is amazing. We've been working for this for 4 years. We finally got him. Coach Morello, we're his first freshman class. Everyone's just amazing. I'm speechless. I don't know what to
They were freshmen when I got hired, and this journey that we've been on together. They lost their sophomore year to COVID, and we had to claw and fight last year just to get the playoffs. And you know, when adversity strikes, you know they've seemed to answer the call all season, and tonight was no different. I'm tremendously proud of this entire group. I'm so thankful to the coaches that stuck it out for the last 4 years with me through the speed bumps. You know, Gus Dean hired me, took a shot on me, and Ralph Mayo, they took a shot on me. You know, this guy from Greenwich that loves the program, and you know, all these coaches just rallied around me, and you know, look what hard work has gotten these guys.
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Beat Grinder, your weekly dose of high school football in Connecticut. And I'm your host, Sean Patrick Bowley. With me, as always, is Peter Paguaga. Pete, what's up?
Nothing much, man. What's going on? Long time no talk.
It is the end of the season. The champion season has come and gone. We have 6 state champions, and we have one of them joining us on the show a little bit later, and that would be, no spoilers here, but that would be the #1 ranked Greenwich Cardinals head coach, Anthony Morello, who will be, we did a great interview with him earlier in the day, talking about the Cardinals back on top for the second time in 5 years as they wipe up Fairfield Prep 37-17 to become the first ever team to have 2 losses and finish #1 in the final poll. So looking forward to that. Pete, you were at Central Connecticut. I was at Rentschler Field. We have 6 champions. What did you think of the weekend?
It was fun. I mean, I'm happy that they made the move to the different stadiums for the championships. The atmosphere at Central was awesome. The coaches wanted to be there. The kids wanted to be there, like at those fields. Ty Outlow from Bloomfield, told me before the game, he's like, I'll play anywhere. Except I don't want to play Trumbull High School anymore. But because they lost 2 finals there in back-to-back seasons. But no, Central was great. I mean, the atmosphere was awesome. The people who work there for Central were very accommodating, very nice. It was great. It was a great environment. It was a great atmosphere. It was a great experience for sure. I mean, it was the first time I covered a game there since my first season covering football, which was 2013.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I was at Rentschler. I thought it was just as good as the last time we were there. We had none of our games were great. Actually, the only game that ended up being Well, the only games that were halfway decent were all played at your side of the field. You know, you had New Canaan and Maloney, and then you had the Ansonia Bloomfield game. Those are the two best games. Rentschler Field, they were all pretty much, you know, I mean, the Killingly North Haven game was, was a competitive for, good portion of the game, but then North Haven pulled away. But the big worry for me at Rentschler was the field. And the field, I mean, you could eat off it. It was pristine. It was wonderful. They were all saying it was the best grounds crew in the country as far as college stadiums go. And I can't argue that much. I haven't been to a lot of college stadiums in a while, but, for the ones that still have grass, it was an amazing, it wasn't, 12 years ago when it was painted dirt for the Class AA final and the whole weekend in 2010. I thought it was great. North Haven brought the most fans. They brought the whole town again. It wasn't, I don't know if it was quite the same as when they went to the final in 2015, but they showed up. The rest of the crowds were okay, and maybe it makes it a little bit worse looking because of Rentschler Field being so cavernous. But on the field, it was a good atmosphere. I can't argue, people complain about the atmosphere at at Rentschler. I didn't find it that bad. On the field, as a player, can't go wrong with Rentschler Field. I thought it was a really nice atmosphere. We have worthy champions. I think all of these teams deserve to win. I don't think there were any flukes. There might have been a couple surprises, but as much as I can't stand that fact we crowned 6 champions, there's as far as the weekend goes, I mean, it's not unprecedented. And as far as the weekend goes, I thought it was really well done. The job by everybody, I think, went off without a hitch. And, there might have a few bumps here and there, but otherwise I can't complain.
Yeah. The 3 teams that won titles, all worthy champions at Central. The 3 teams that didn't win championships all earned their right to be there. I mean, look, I had the 2 best games of the weekend. And like you said, in Bloomfield and Ansonia, which came down to the final minutes, and Maloney and New Canaan, which came down to, the fourth quarter. Those games, I'm texting Dan Gardella, our coworker, asking him to bring me a battery down because I'm thinking maybe this game's going to overtime. I saw 2 really great games and then an incredible offensive performance by Joel Barlow. I mean, just, not a coach. I'm never going to have to learn the triple option offense, but if you're looking to install the triple option offense, go watch the film from the Class SS championship game, because I'm imagining they ran it to a T because they scored 61 points. But yeah, I mean, it was great. I have no complaints about the facilities. There was Polish food in the press box at Central. Yes, it was very New Britain based. Unfortunately, I did not get to eat any of it because I was busy working all 3 games and editing, and I didn't want to get like greasy, food hands all over my keyboard. So by the time the L game was over and I finished editing that video, I turned around. I was like, I'm going to get some food, and all that was left was bread.
Yeah. That happened to me at Rentschler. They had the cold cuts out there. You make your own sandwiches. It was really nice. But when I got there, between I think the first and second game, there was nothing. There was nothing left. I mean, they brought them out. It was fine. I ended up getting a sandwich. So
no, I got nothing. But it looked good. Everyone, I will say, I want to give a quick shout out to Lori Riley of the Hartford Current. She made like banana bread, and it was delicious.
That sounds excellent.
She also forgot her pan in the press box, so I had to take it home and clean it. It's not like you owe me anything, Lori. Just saying.
So let me just give you listen. If you want to see the highlights and things that happened in the state championship, Pete, Dan Gardella, Will Aldham, and myself, we all did highlight videos. Pete and I did 2 each, and the other guys did 1 apiece. Thank God, because I don't know if I could do 3 in a row.
I don't know if
it was bad enough to 2. But we were able to get 3 championship videos out, which I thought was really good. If you need to know what happened in those games, go watch that. We'll throw a few highlights on here, but let me just quickly run down exactly what happened in each of these games, starting over at Pete's at Central Connecticut State in Class S. Chris Kaminsky ran for 3 touchdowns, including 2 in the fourth quarter, as Ansonia rallied past Bloomfield to win 28-21 and win its 21st, a record 21st state championship, the 7th for Coach Tom Brockett, and his 193rd career victory, which both amazingly ties him with the late, great Jack Hunt, the guy he replaced back in 2006 for the best all time. So right now, he and Jack Hunt are on the same level, which I know it throws him to death. He just looks up to Jack Hunt, gave Tom his start. He was the anointed successor, and Tom has done nothing but uphold the legacy, if not exceed it. I mean, he might even be, he got there faster, I think, than Coach Hunt did. But listen, those two are great coaches, and congratulations to them. Tom and his guys over at Norwoods afterward were bugging me because they wanted to be number one. They're the only team that finished 13-0 this season, and they were hounding me with all sorts of text messages and all sorts of stuff over there at Norwich, where the celebration was going off into the night. Anyway, so Anthony, congratulations to them. They deserve it. In Class Double S, Danny Shaven ran for 175 yards and 5 touchdowns as Barlow rolled up and down the field with 372 yards rushing and held Valley to a mere 33 on the ground in winning its first state championship 61-6 in the nightcap at Central Connecticut State. And in the mid-afternoon game at Central Connecticut State, Ty Groff, I mean, in a performance we're all too familiar with all season long, kicked 3 field goals, including a 41-yarder, and then the winner from 19 yards out with 2:34 remaining to topple Maloney and win its 13th state championship, all under Coach Lou Marinelli. Congratulations, Coach. An amazing job there. Over at Rentschler Field in the first game, Class Double M, Adam Pendolfi ran for 99 yards and scored 2 big touchdowns in the second half as North Haven turned a 21-21 tie into a 51-34 runaway. Jeff Carvis ran 19 times for 157 yards, and North Haven attempted just 1 pass, very North Haven-like, as they beat a pretty good Killingly team. And as you heard at the top of the show, I heard it, especially all over the field, but especially from Sal DeMeo, who after making a nice block on their last touchdown, comes right back up.
Sean, you picked Killingly. Don't stop.
What do you want me to tell you? I heard it from the North Haven guys, and I'm still hearing it from them. They're posting stuff about me. You know, congratulations to the first one for Tony Sagnella. You know, they finished the job. Their all-time great team was 2015, but this one finally gets the job done for them against a very good Killing team. In Class M, Matt Picota completed 17 of 24 passes for 208 yards and 3 touchdowns. And the Notre Dame West Haven defense held Berlin to just 109 for the game, while their offense rolled up nearly 400 yards of offense to win their first title since 2009, 35-8. Congrats to Coach Joe DiCaprio. He's joined his brother as a state championship head coach, and his mentor, Tom Marcucci. And again, I heard it from Joe DiCaprio that I put a lot of pressure on Notre Dame by picking them in week 6 to win their championship. But I know the players really appreciate it because they serenaded me after the game.
Everyone say Shy Patrick Bowley. Yeah!
Everybody say it on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Sean Patrick Bowley. Let's go, Sean Patrick.
Which I thought was great, and I had to thank them in kind. Guys who made me look like a genius, although I don't know how hard that was to pick in Class M, which is, but hey, congratulations to them. It's no joke. They had to get by Law and Niter in the semis, and then they had to beat a pretty good Berlin team, so congratulations to Notre Dame. And then in the nightcap, who else but Charlie Dixon saw 3 passes, including a pick 6 to start the scoring, as Greenwich made 5 interceptions and recovered a fumble, and won its second Class Double-L championship since 2018, and its 9th overall. Greenwich's defense took advantage of all those turnovers, and Jack Wilson ran for a couple TDs. Greenwich was up 27-0 late in the first half, and all but cruised to their 37-17 victory. Tony Morello, who we'll talk to about that title, wins his first, relieving the monkey off his back. He's like Steve Young, to coin a phrase. It's like Steve Young of Greenwich winning his first Super Bowl after being under Montana for so long. Johnny Marinelli brought that long-awaited title in 2018. Morello was the guy who replaced him. A couple of tough losses in the opening rounds of his first 2 seasons. finally getting the job done here, and so congratulations to them. I thought a worthy Class L champion. The poll dropped, Pete, and well, let's just roll through that real quick. Your final top 10 poll is number 1, Greenwich, with 17 first place votes. Number 2 is Class L champion New Canaan, 12-1, 5 first place votes. Number 3 is Maloney, the runner-up in Class L, the first team that didn't win a state championship, comes in at number 3, so not bad by Maloney. Number 4 is Fairfield Prep, 9-4. They lost to Greenwich in the Class LL final. They're the second runner-up. Number 5, Ansonia comes in 13-0, the second team to finish 13-0, not to become number 1. They get 2 first place votes, and they finish in 5th. Number 6 is Class M champion Notre Dame West Haven, 10-3. Number 7 is Class M champion North Haven. They're 11-2. They lost to Notre Dame in the regular season, 14-7. If you want to unify the belts, so to speak, and call Notre Dame the M champ this year. Number 8 is St. Joseph, 9-2. They got upset in the quarterfinals. Number 9 is Southington, which was number 1 for most of the year, but they got upset in the quarterfinals by Trumbull. They're number 9, and Staples gets in there. Thank God they stay in at number 10. They got upset or got beat by Fairfield Prep by a point, 23-22 in the quarterfinals. Pete, your thoughts on the final top 10 poll of the year?
It's not what I had. I had Greenwich. I mean, I had Greenwich 1. I had Greenwich 1, and I think Greenwich was the best team. If you read Jeff Jacobs' column after Greenwich's win, he used some stats that I put together, and you just look at their schedule. 64-36 were their opponents in the regular season.
Yeah.
That's a really good record of teams that they had to play. They played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 playoff teams in the regular season. They went 3-2 against those playoff teams, but both losses came to teams that went 9-1 and they lost by a point. And then on the flip side, you look at New Canaan. New Canaan played 2 playoff teams. New Canaan played 3 playoff teams. Fairfield Prep, Wilton, and St. Joe's, and they lost to St. Joe's, beat Prep, and beat Wilton, but arguably the second best team that New Canaan played in the regular season this year was Wilton. Yeah. And EJ D'Annunzio does a great job there, but they weren't the team that they were last year. They had a fairly easy schedule to start the year. I just think Greenwich was more battle tested, and I think it was pretty easy for me to pick Greenwich to be number 1. I saw New Canaan a couple of times this year, and they left a lot to be desired. The defense is championship winning. It's not even a question. Their defense is that good. They play together as a unit very well. Chris Silvestri does an amazing job as a defensive coordinator on that team. Everyone knows that Chris is the DC at New Canaan, so I'm not, hyping up someone that no one's ever heard of, because Chris just does such a great job there. But I'll be honest with you, I voted Fairfield Prep too.
Yeah, so did I.
I voted Prep too.
Them. I think I voted him 3. I think I had New Canaan over him just because I had a hard time.
I think if they played again, this is my opinion. I think if they played again, I think Prep beats them. My number 3 team was Staples. I think Staples is one of the best teams in the state. They beat Greenwich on Thanksgiving, and they lost by 1 to Fairfield Prep. If Staples beats Prep, they get Trumbull in the second round, a team that Staples beat in the regular season in the fourth quarter. So I think we could be, if that kick doesn't go wide, we might have had a Staples-Greenwich rematch. Obviously, it's a bunch of what-ifs, but it is an opinion poll. I think Staples was one of the best teams in the state this year. I think they're very well deserving of the top 3 vote that I gave them. I had New Canaan 4, Maloney 5, Southington 6, St. Joe 7, West Haven 8, Notre Dame West Haven 9, North Haven 10, Newtown 11, Trumbull 12, Killingly 13, Barlow 14, and Ansonia 15. And I know some people are probably going to kill me for my Ansonia vote. I know people voted them 1. I saw Ansonia 3 or 4 times this year. David Cassetti is a really good player. They just didn't play anybody. There was just no one on that schedule that made you say, wow, what a great win. And look, Bloomfield was the better team in that game for most of the game. And, Ansonia scored the first 14 points in that game and then did nothing until the fourth quarter. They just kept punting the ball back. And if it wasn't for miscues on Bloomfield's part of taking penalties, they were clearly frustrated. The Ansonia defense played well, but Bloomfield got in their own way. And it could have very easily been Bloomfield up 2 scores in the second half. And for me, I I couldn't justify putting Ansonia in the top 10 this year. They're a great team. They went undefeated, but I don't vote just on championships alone.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I've always done since I voted in this poll, the baseball poll, the hockey poll. I don't vote on championships alone. I know a lot of people do, and that's fine. That's their ballot. But this is the way that I vote my ballot, is who I think will win versus the team that played above them. And that's kind of how I do it. So I know people are going to be mad, but I'm going to be open and honest about my ballot. I don't hide it. I think all voters should release their ballot and show that transparency.
Pete, I went with Greenwich number 1, Fairfield Prep number 2. I did go with the Jesuits number 2. I think we discussed it a little bit, but the loss to New Canaan early in the year before they kind of made some changes that put them on their run. I thought it was a different team. It's different than when Hand played Xavier, and people were looking at, there was a guy, I forget who it was, Don Boyle, who devoted Xavier at the end over Hand when Hand finished undefeated. I think it's a little different in that situation.
Yeah.
There was only a 14-7 victory, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, he parsed it there. I had 3 Staples at number 3. I thought they were 1 point away. They completed 2-point conversion. Now we're talking about Greenwich and Staples in the final, which would have been great too. I thought that actually would have been great, to be honest with you. Fairfield Prep just ran out of gas in the final. Number 4, New Canaan. Number 5, Maloney. That game was very close. I couldn't parse them too much. St. Joseph, I thought it was Joe Delvecchio's best coaching job since I've been covering football. I mean, the fact that they were there and had a chance, they were a dominant team all year. I think they just ran out of gas at the end as well. But I still have them pretty high. St. Joseph. I put Trumbull at 7. They, lost maybe more games than I thought they would, but I think they came on a little bit better toward the end. They certainly showed up against Fairfield Prep, even though the score didn't really show it there. But Trumbull at 7, Southington at 8. I had to put Southington below Trumbull because Trumbull beat them, and beat them in the playoffs, and I thought that was significant. Notre Dame West Haven over Southington. Then number 10, I have North Haven below Notre Dame West Haven because North Haven, you could even argue that same thing too. I don't think North Haven really changed much late in the year. Number 11, Ansonia. Number 12, West Haven. Number 13, Cheshire. Number 14, Newtown, and I threw Barlow in there at number 15. Listen, Barlow lost to Newtown. Barlow lost to New Milford. It's hard. I gave him the vote because they won a state championship at the end, so give him a little shout out there. So listen, I can't. A lot of our guys clearly vote. If you win a state championship, they give it a lot of weight. Like you said, it's their opinion. That's the whole point of the poll. We were at odds.
You don't have to like it.
Yeah,
I don't have to like it, but no, neither do I. I think these are the best teams, not the teams that played in not the best division. Look, 2019, we talk about this team all the time, but Sheehan won Class S. Should they have been a top 4 team? They played against double L schools and went 0-2. Or 1-2, whatever it was. Should they have been a top 5 team? No. So I think all of that does play a factor. And it is what it is. We're on to next year.
Yeah.
Who's preseason number 1 next year?
For completion's sake, let's take a look at the Day of New London coaches poll. I know Ned Griffin and bugging me that we don't publish it enough on GameTimeCT. I said we do it on the podcast, so here it is. Greenwich comes in at number 1 with 8 first place votes. New Canaan gets 2 first place votes. They're number 2. North Haven number 3, which is a little surprising for me, but part of me thinks that's more of like a pro Stagnella vote. That he finally won his title. They gave him a little boost there, and he's also a state champ. Number 4, Maloney. Number 5, Notre Dame West Haven. Number 6, Ansonia with 3 first place votes. So even some of the coaches there, even giving them the benefit of the doubt because they were undefeated. Fairfield Prep at 7. Love to see Ansonia play Prep, knowing how big, massive Fairfield Prep is and deep too. But number 8 is Barlow gets in there. Number 9, St. Joseph. Number 10, Southington. And then Killingly comes in at number 11 there, but I don't know about that, coaches. Usually I'm pretty much with the coaches. They definitely went with the guys who won championships more than anything else. They really put a lot of weight on that.
If anyone knows how hard it is to win championships or to go undefeated, it's the coaches. Right. And, they have their vote. I respect their vote. Whether I agree or disagree with it, I don't. You know, that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. That's okay with me.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we both got it right at the top.
For just to give a third opinion here, let's go to the Cal Preps or the Max Preps rankings. Cal Preps, number 1, Greenwich, number 2, New Canaan, number 3, Fairfield Prep. This is done by math, by the way. It's like it has a formula behind it, so you know. They put a lot of emphasis on strength of schedule, and a lot of that stuff too. Number 4, Notre Dame West Haven, which is interesting. Number 5, North Haven, so they're back to back there. Number 6, St. Joseph. Number 7, Maloney. Number 8, Staples. Number 9, Southington, and number 10, Cheshire. If you want me to go a little further, 11, Sheldon, 12, Trumbull, 13, Newtown, and 14, West Haven, and 15, Ansonia, followed by Killingly at 16.
All right, so me and the math had a couple of the same.
Yeah. So so that was it. I thought the state championship, I thought everyone did a pretty good job. Logistically, it's tough getting the 3 games out of there, Pete. I know you have some issues with. The CIC needs to kind of get out of its own way when I know they want to hurt everybody off the field. They were like tripping over themselves trying to get this done. You basically need to do this, and I don't know if they coordinated with the guys at Rentschler, but you need to announce. All right, well, we have the 2 teams here. Come get your Class L. Sorry, your runner-up trophy, runner-ups. And now here's the state champion, and then you give the trophy to the captains. You call the captains, the coach up. You give the trophy to them. Now, what the CIC doesn't want is for the kids to run off the field and hold the trophy up and you have to, corral everybody. But the CIC, in order to combat this, they immediately had you take a photo, which you need to give them a little breathing room, guys. Like give them the championship and let them raise that, and that's a big. Raising the trophy for the first time is a big deal. Now, I know you don't want them running off, but they were such a rush to get the championship photo. We never even moved anywhere. They did it right there on the spot. That was my only thing. It was it got a little chaotic there. I know they're trying to get the guys off, but that was my only thing about that. I know you had some other issues over at your side.
I mean, a lot of the same. Look, these coaches and these players put in an absurd amount of time. Right? We're not even counting the weight room, that starts probably next week for these kids where the season ended. OTA start, or this week. Yeah. OTA started on August 11th. The championships were December 10th, 2022. Yeah. That is 122 days that they work hard. They played 4 games in 16 days to win a state title if they played on Thanksgiving? All of that time, effort, blood, sweat, tears for that moment that they are the state champions. And they get to hold that plaque. By the way, shout out CIAC. The new plaques look very cool. Just want to credit that. They do look cool. They finally get the plaque in their hand. And they want to turn around and they want to lift it for their teammates, their brothers, to the fans, to the families that drove them to practice and pick them up and clean their uniforms and clean their whatever. And
this is it. This is the culmination of everything.
This is it. And they go to lift the trophy, and it's no.
Yeah, we got to take a photo.
Take this photo with the Hartford Healthcare sign.
Yeah.
Then it's okay. Like, let me go celebrate my teammates. No. Everybody pose so we could take our photo. Like, I get it. I understand it. Okay, I understand this is what you have to do. But those kids were itching to just be able to celebrate for 5 seconds. And look, don't get me wrong. If you let them celebrate, it might not last 5 seconds. It might last 10 minutes. And then the other game's going, and I get that. But it took all of the joy, the pure joy out of the endings of those games.
Yeah.
And like that was really, it was really disappointing. It was really disappointing just as a fan who's watching it on the field, standing next to these kids who are just like, I want the trophy, I want the plaque, I want it, to, okay, now we have to pose. Okay, now we're up, and then like reporters are going to start doing interviews, right? Because the next game's starting in 45 minutes an hour. And then this, and then at one point, like, no one actually celebrated. Like, yes, Ansonia lifted Tom Brockett up and carried him off the field. Very cool. Same thing with Lou Marinelli. But that was all like post the immediate celebration, and it didn't really feel organic.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like just let it breathe.
Yeah,
not
let it breathe.
Just let it breathe. And I understand that they have to follow rules, and I'm not saying throw all your rules out the window, but give these kids a little bit of a second to enjoy what they just accomplished. From the starting quarterback down to the last player on the roster, they all deserve that.
Right. Like North Haven, Sal DeMeo took the trophy and was going to run over to the fans with it, and they didn't want nothing to do with it. They're like, no, get back here. Right. So, I know they don't, because now you got them all over the field, and now they're like taking over with their parents, and that's a mess. So I know they want to keep them corralled, but this thing where you got to take a photo right away, like there's got to be a better way to get that.
Yeah. Like I'm not saying that
without doing it immediately, because I didn't even get team photos.
No,
to be honest.
I mean, I got a couple, but it was really tight. But I will say this: I'm not advocating for fans should be able to rush the field. Let's cause this chaos. I was at the soccer championships. Okay, when Greenwich's fans stormed the field, it was a nightmare, and I understand that there's legal ramifications for that. Let the kids celebrate. Let the kids on the field enjoy the fact that they worked so hard to get to this moment. They deserve it. Let them have it.
Other than that, I thought everything else went very well.
Oh, everything was great.
Yeah, I thought it was a great job. Great job at Rentschler Field. I loved seeing Johnny there after he was at your game, seeing his dad win, then him coming over to Greenwich to see them win. I thought that was really neat. So yeah, it was a great celebration atmosphere. I'm exhausted. I don't know about you. We're recording this on Tuesday evening.
I'm extremely tired, but our work's nowhere done.
Yeah, we got a long way to go here. Well, we'll talk about Player of the Year before we get out of here, but let's instead turn it over to our guest this week, the #1 state championship head coach, Tony Morello. Joining us now is the head championship. That sounds good, huh? Head coach of the Greenwich Cardinals, #1 team in the state. It is Anthony Morello. Coach, congratulations, #1. The world is your oyster. The football world is your oyster, at least. Congratulations. Welcome to the Meat Grinder two-timer, just like your predecessor, Johnny Marinelli. Welcome back. How you doing?
Thank you, SPB and Pete. Great to see you guys. Yeah, we're through the moon here at Greenwich. Saturday was a special night for everyone, and you dream about things, and for everything to go our way on Saturday night, it was really a dream come true, not just for me, but for all of these players and coaches that have worked so hard. So yeah, the emotions were very high on Saturday night, and the kids just played great. Kids played great.
Has Charlie Dixon picked his steakhouse yet?
Charlie Dixon is still currently floating off the ground when he walks all the way through the high school. So definitely hasn't come back to earth yet. It may be another month or so before he touches down.
Yeah,
but so happy. It couldn't have happened to a nicer kid.
Well, like Sean said, the emotions were high, or like you said, I'm sorry, Coach, the emotions were high. So to prepare for this interview, I just want to make a change. I have my Anthony Morello hat.
Yeah, boy.
I will be wearing this the rest of the interview in honor of you and the Greenwich Cardinal #1 football team in the state. Love this hat. You and I have had lengthy talks about this style of hat. Big fan, but wanted to congratulate you guys. And I wasn't there, so I got to watch Sean's video and Will's video. And you're right, the emotion was there. I mean, we talked after the semifinal game of that relieving feeling of getting to the finals, right? There's a lot of pressure where you coach and taking over after they won a state title and being the #1 team in the state. I mean, when you get doused with that bucket of Gatorade or ice water, you're not wearing sleeves. I mean, do you even feel cold, or is it just like a big weight, it's kind of been lifted?
No, the feeling right now is carrying through my day to day. Not that the saying is, a weight's been lifted, but this season was full of those. We hadn't beaten Darien since 2007, and that one got lifted. I was 0 for 2 in the playoffs, as a head coach, and For me, I was way more nervous about the Hamden game than I was about the state championship on Saturday night. The way things went against Staples, you have a team that's on the ropes a little bit. You have a team that's looking for answers, and it's very easy to, question what you're doing, especially 4 days before a playoff game. So, that was kind of the moment where, we had to look in the mirror and figure out who we are, who we're going to be. And, I feel that on Monday night before the Hamden game, we have an annual burning of the shoes. We take a pair of cleats and we burn them together. And I didn't say this stuff on Saturday night, but the team came together that night, and the stories that they told together. We had a bonfire up at team camp in August, and we started with a fire pit, and we ended with a fire pit. But when those shoes went out, it felt like there was something special brewing with this group. And I talked to them yesterday when we, started to say our goodbyes to the seniors and usher in a new group, because that's how the machine works. We'll have new captains on Thursday evening at our banquet. That was what I told them. Was like, I knew you guys were gonna make a run after that burning of the shoes. No question about it.
Coach, was there, it's weird because you only lost your 2 games by a point, but it's like, because it's a loss, it's like so much more of a weight. I mean, because now if you get another one, now you start to tread into some dangerous territory. But it really kind of disguised, I thought, how good a team you guys might have been this year. You agree with that?
Oh, definitely. And I think it needs to be mentioned that 5 years ago, there were no competitive balanced schedules, and your schedule kind of was what it was year in and year out. And there were more slam dunks on the schedule in past years. I know as a player, there were through the late 2000s, even early 2000 or 2010 and beyond, there were. But now the way we're doing it with the FCAC, it's almost impossible to get out of there unscathed unless you have a truly tremendous team. And even if you just look at the last 2 seasons that we've had, Darien had an incredible year last year, and knowing the schedules the way they are, I think it's even more impressive to run the table. But the way the playoff structure is done too, we were never in any jeopardy of missing out on the playoffs after the Staples game. It was not a concern going into the Staples game, and it wasn't a concern going out of the Staples game. And I'd be lying if I said that I didn't. If there weren't things I was holding back on Thanksgiving to make sure that, or at least to try to have us at full strength come that following game. I could have run Jack Wilson up and down the field week by week. He would have loved it, and I'm sure he would have been successful. But at what cost? I mean, it was a choice to keep him in the pocket and to keep him upright, so that when the playoffs do roll around, we're ready for it. So I'd be lying if I said that we emptied the tank on Thanksgiving. It's just, you want to make sure you win the right games, and we want to win all games, no question about it. But I wanted to make sure
need to win that one. Other than seeding, yeah, you didn't. I mean, if you lost it and you were still, in a good spot, it didn't really matter.
Yeah, and my guys, when they hear this, they're gonna be mad at me. They're say, no, we the Staples team, they're giving us such a hard time, and they're bragging, and it's like, well, okay, you guys still could have won that game. We still dropped passes. I still made horrible calls in all facets of the game. So there's always soul searching that you do after losses, and there were many mistakes that we made in that game. But to Staples' credit, they played a great game. And Southington, I don't know that they had a better game. Maybe they didn't have the best first quarter, but they played a great game against us, and they deserve to win that football game. So as much as it is, we shot ourselves in the foot. You have to give credit where credit is due. Yeah. And it was the same with most of the games this year.
Well, you were up. Most people forget, in that Southern game, you were up 3 touchdowns.
Yes.
Your kids and they're kids, and I'm sure they were like, oh, Southern, all right, we're done. We're done here. And the next thing you know, they come back. Southern's a good team. and it's just natural. I get that. And then Staples, we saw they were an amazing team, and I'm glad they were in the top 10. I thought they were a little low at 10. I thought that was a little like, guys, they only lost the Prep by 1 point. They make one extra move there, they win that game. And it could have been you and Staples in the final, which would have been
100%. And I think that you saw that with a lot of teams, particularly in the double L, where I follow it, more closely than the L. All had really great seasons, and some teams wavered a little bit towards the end of the season and maybe weren't playing the best football. Some due to injuries. I know Hamden, number 21 for them, was unbelievable on film, and I know he wasn't available for those last 3 games. So it's a different story if that kid's on the field. I know defensively they were terrified that he was going to come out in pads on Tuesday night. So you have ups and downs. You just hope to be as healthy as possible come playoff time, and you have the players fully bought in and playing their hearts out. And
crazy. I'm looking at the double L bracket now. You guys played every team on the double L bracket but West Haven this year, whether it was regular season or in the postseason. Right. You played every team in the double L playoffs this year except for West Haven. Whether, again, Hamden and Glastonbury and Prep you played in the playoffs, but you played Trumbull, Southernkin, and Staples in the regular season.
Yeah, it was a grind, and we were at Newtown to start the year, and at Ridgefield right after that. Yep. So there was really just one after another of big games, and great coaches that we're going up against too. I mean, this was only, I think Saturday was maybe the 35th game that I've head coached. So, I mean, I'm still making mistakes left and right. There's no doubt about it. And there are ways that I try to better myself week in and week out. And this coaching staff, the offensive guys, with the exception of Bruce Cunningham, who's been around for quite some time, they're all new too. My wide receiver coach, running back coach, those guys are 2-year guys with us at Greenwich High School. So my quarterback coach is 26 too. So we have a lot of young, hungry coaches on staff. Yeah. And you pair that with Coach Hochter and Coach Joyner and Lee and those guys on the defense that just do an amazing job. And Coach Woodring, who has never gets talked about, but the guy's a former NFL player. He knows what it takes to be a champion. And he gives a championship effort every week, and we put so much emphasis on that in practice. Yeah, but all these guys,
Tony, take us back a little bit here. Johnny rides off. He wins the title, rides off into the sunset, literally goes to Arizona. And you talked a bit about this, you guys, and that is kind of like where this championship began. He leaves, and now it's like, all right, can they keep this up? I'm sure everyone in town is like, is Tony ready? You talked about it, like they gave you a shot, Gus, and John recommended you, and they and now you're in there and you're ready to go, but how much pressure it is because you saw what happened to Coach Al. They were, and there's a lot of pressure there. So and then this group of freshmen coming in. I mean, what did you start with, and how did you, what was the journey like to get to this point in the last 4 years?
Oh, it was definitely. It was definitely a long road and really challenging at times. The staff stayed intact that first year. It all happened so short, and everybody wanted Greenwich football to continue to be successful. John felt that my passion and being from Greenwich and knowing the program were 2 really strong selling points. I don't know that I was the first choice right off the bat, but I think that there were other guys on staff that, in my opinion, would have been better fit, but they understood what was going to come with the job, and it wasn't for them at that point in their careers. And, here I was hungry. I had applied for the Ludlow job a year before, maybe 2017, right when Mitch Ross got hired. And so John knew that, and he knew that I was trying to, move up the coaching ladder as much as I could. And he thought it was the right call at the time, and got the support of former head coaches like Coach Cunningham and Coach Hochter. All 3 of them, they took me out. They grilled me on questions, did everything they could to prepare me for my interview. Those are memories that you just don't lose. Yeah. Those are great memories.
Well, Go ahead.
Well, then I got hired, and it was like, okay, here we go. And that first year, it was pretty much entirely do the same exact thing that we did in 2018.
Right.
Except I was still learning and taking things in the face as they were coming, just one after the other. I didn't have the foresight to know what lies ahead because I'd never done it before. And then COVID came. So we just went on a long absence. And, that first season, my first loss came because I spiked it on 4th down. And that was my first career loss. And, wish I could have that one back.
I remember
there were growing pains along the way. And wish there were a lot of things I wish I could have had back. But that freshman class that was coming in, we went off to team camp together in 2019. They still have memories about that trip they had when they were freshmen. And, this year when we were, I asked them, I wasn't sure if we wanted to go away to team camp. We weren't able to do it the last 2 years. They said, Coach, we have to go. We have to go away to team camp. That's what we did as freshmen. And, we went undefeated as freshmen. It bonded us together. We have to go. So they were the driving force to that this year. And they've been just totally locked in all year. Tremendous leadership from top to bottom.
Was there a point where you still thought this was Johnny's team? And if so, when was it finally Tony's team?
It was probably, it definitely still felt like I would have to say probably last season is when it felt like it was mine. The whole COVID chaos that was happening. There were still coaches that were on staff that, were Johnny's guys. And a lot of them ended up moving on to other things here, there, and everywhere. The ones that stayed were, ones that just had unfinished business in their eyes for whatever reason it is. And they had love for their kids and, in the program. And even last year, there were still uncertainties with, where we were headed and how far this team could go. Having that year off was really tough. It was really tough. And having it end the way it did in 2019, I'm sure other coaches can agree, it was such a long wait to get back to football last year. And then we had some changes with the staff right before the season that, kind of got us off on the wrong foot offensively. But, I thought we started to really play well in the second half of the season last year, which was basically, my favorite passing concepts that Marinelli had put in years ago, paired with all the running game stuff that I love and continue to run, that we've run for the last 7 years or whatever.
Well, how much did you feel like you needed to change immediately? I mean, you must have stuck with a lot of what John did that first year, but then I'm obviously, listen, this is your team. You get to do, you call the shots now. When did you feel comfortable, like getting all your stuff in there and your way of doing things?
It was probably after the New Canaan loss in 2021. That was where it was really like, I can't be this play as fast as you can, play fast and then play faster was our mentality. And I can't do that from a play calling standpoint. I don't feel comfortable calling plays that, I haven't thought out or looked at. And, my philosophy is to, be the toughest team on the field and execute the best on every time, every day that you're out there.
Was it hard to finally kind of, I know you, because you want to win. He did so well. Was it hard to finally, trust yourself and make those changes?
Yeah, of course it's hard. I mean, the best product that you're going to ever put out is like the product that is yours.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I know what's worked here. And the last thing I wanted to do was to take something that's working and change it for the worse. Right. But ultimately my strengths need to come out and the players need to play to those same strengths. Like we all need to play to those same strengths. And listening to the players was huge. I feel really strongly when I say that us as coaches really understood our players by the end of the season. We understood what made them tick. We understood what made them go. And Jack and my relationship just flourished this year together because we started picking each other's brains. And I knew what he wanted to throw before he threw it. And he looked over and was like, would give me signals, and I would nod and say, yes, absolutely. So, and that's really just, the relationship between me and Jack, and then Jack with the rest of his teammates on offense is really what I think gave us that consistent success.
That's the dream, right? To have that relationship with your QB, and everybody, Walsh and Montana, Belichick and Brady. I mean, you go back, that's we're champion. You got to have that relationship where you guys both
100%. And it was not easy for Jack. Okay. Jack had to put up with me last year where I'm still working on our passing game. I'm still working on trying to give him the right progressions to go through. And I'm still working off some concepts that were a little too, just a little too extreme for what we needed to be and who we wanted to be. And what we did was basically we half fielded at times. We had a pre-snap alert, and then we had a smaller progression. Once the play was actually called, it allowed Jack to settle in and keep his eyes in one or two places, and then make his reads from there. So once we stopped throwing everything at him, right, it allowed him to focus more squarely on what to do, and then he could just use his strengths and play to those strengths.
When did you talked a bit about it in the post game? There was a time where you also now you took over the play calling on the offense side. But take us quickly through that. How that came about, who was doing it before, and what made you decide that it needed to be something you were in control of.
Well, Coach Marinelli was the play caller when he was here, and in 2019, I took the play calling duties right away. Coach Avery, who is the coach at Country Day right now, he was my OC at the time, and he helped me a lot because him and John worked so closely in the passing game. Running game was kind of always natural to me. But what I wanted to do was 2019 was so overwhelming, being a head coach on top of anything that you're doing, on the field is a lot because there's a million things going on off the field that you need to be responsible for. So I was concerned that it was a little too much for me to handle. And then, I brought in this coach Reese Lane, who worked at WestConn for a long time and has this really great system that they use up there, and they're really successful with it. And it's all boundary and field. Sorry for the spoilers, but it was drastic. It was all wristband. It was drastically different from what we were doing. Right. And then Reese got a huge promotion to become a fire marshal, and we were all super happy for him. But it really limited and handcuffed the amount of time he would be able to be at practice, which, you can't. I'm here, and if I can't understand the intricacies of the system, and we don't have somebody else that's just in the ready to do that, then where are we? We were kind of in limbo, and that's why we kind of sputtered offensively, I think, early in the season, because we'd spent the whole COVID season. We spent all of that working on this new offense. Right. And then it ultimately, I had to make that change back to what I know and what I do and how I want it to be. So this entire off season was in preparation for what I expected to do on game day, which is, use a lot of different formations, run a lot of the same concepts, just out of multiple formations and disguises, and try to keep the defense off balance as much as possible.
I'm just waiting for Pete. Sorry, Pete, I've been hogging the spot.
No, it's all really good information that that was very insightful.
So we named you number one to start the year. I know you all were like, well, that's good. We like that. All right, let's. I mean, and I remember asking you, like, well, I wonder what Tony thinks. And I remember asking you about it at the Newtown game, and you were kind of like, well, it's great, but but seriously,
there was so much. Yeah, there was so much media attention early too. It was distracting. It was definitely a distraction early on.
Well, I mean, even in a year where you guys aren't one, I feel like there's a lot of media attention surrounding this program.
Greenwich.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, how do you, weigh that, or, with the kids where, you're the quarterback of Greenwich football, you were one of the most popular players in the state of Connecticut, whether you're good or not. It's kind of like, it's not like being the quarterback at Notre Dame, but in the state of Connecticut, like if you're Greenwich and you're the starting quarterback for Greenwich, you're the best player for Greenwich, like everyone knows who you are.
Yeah.
And like, that's a lot of weight to be put on the shoulder of a high school kid, on top of then the pressure that comes with, well, for James Rinello, he's taken over for Gavin Muir. And for Jack Wilson, he's taken over for James Rinello, who had a really good junior year. And there's this just pressure. I mean, that's a completely different type of coaching, right?
Well, yeah, and I don't know if I don't think it's just that Greenwich. There are plenty of schools out there that put the same kind of pressure, not by force, just the way it is. It's something that I do spend a lot of time on talking with coaches about, because the pressures of life in general for high school students is through the roof. And you have to put these expectations on them in sports like football, where they feel like they can't make a mistake. And like anybody, if you feel like you can't make a mistake no matter what you do, right, you're definitely going to make a mistake. It's definitely going to happen. And then what are you going to do once you make that mistake? So calming the guys down is definitely, and keeping their, keep trying to keep them even keel as much as possible. We spend a lot of time doing that. And I'm not going to tell them to ignore it. I'm never going to tell them to ignore the media and ignore social media, because it's not the way society is anymore. You can't just run the old school philosophies forever. They're going to be on their phones. They're going to be looking at every article that comes out, whether I say don't do it or not. So at least let me try to guide them on how to read the article and how to handle the article. Because most of it's good stuff. And when it's not good stuff, like, then you don't need to read it. But like most of the time, when there is praise or when there is an article written up, it's not like banish this team and banish all of them, forever. It's like, oh, so-and-so didn't play so well today. It's like, okay, I can handle that.
Well, I mean, you guys are the number one team. You were the number one team at the beginning of the year. There was some conversation heading into the finals. Like last year, if Darien won, they were a slam dunk at number one. This year, with the expanded playoffs, the 6 divisions, the schedules during the regular season for certain teams are a lot more competitive than others. You can admit it now because you are the number one team in the state and you won the state championship. Were you thinking about that heading into Saturday's game? Like, if we win, we're the number one team, right? Or are they going to vote the winner of L as the number one team? Is that anything that ever crossed your mind? You can admit it now. This is a safe space.
Well, no, I mean, it was definitely talked about. It wasn't at the forefront of my mind. Like, yeah, it made sense. It made sense. But at the same time, I've watched Maloney play this year. I've watched New Canaan play this year, and they're 2 exceptional teams. They're both teams that would be worthy of the number one. If they were announced number one yesterday, we would still be celebrating, and there wouldn't be a pity party on our end, like not one bit. But at the same time, it was a double L premier game. It was against a great prep team that had ripped off 8 straight wins, 6 or 7 against playoff teams, and the way the season went, it wasn't that surprising that you guys ended up, voting us number one. But the kids, they saw an opportunity, especially after the quarterfinals, when all those number one teams went down and 5 teams ahead of us in the rankings had ended up losing. I'd be lying if I said they didn't smell, blood in the water, so to speak, and see that there was a window for them if they were impressive enough the rest of the way out. So there was definitely the team was definitely opportunistic when the situation revealed itself, because I don't think anybody was thinking that after Staples.
Well, they certainly took the bull by the horns and we're winning this number one, and we're going to be the number one team to stay. I don't know if that you want to win it first and then let the chips fall, but I think if the way they were talking, they're like, especially after the game, Hawk and Bruce were looking at me like we're number one. like, I don't care what anyone says. We're number one on the field. I just nodded to him. I mean, I knew it. Just the way you guys just demolished those teams in the playoffs. Again, it's a good field. You know, you had their troubles with them. It was, you know, and just the way it was a mission statement, right? That's basically what it was looked like. And then they even your kids afterward, they felt like they owed prep something here too. I mean, after last year losing, you know, maybe some shenanigans off the field a little bit, which I don't even know how much that played into I don't know how much that was the prep kids themselves. But, you know, I know Jack talked about, you know, how he felt like, you know, he just felt like a little disrespected by somebody out there who was kind of teasing him a bit. So it was like kind of poking the bear, I thought, if that was the case.
I read that too. I read that too somewhere, and that is not something he confided to me about. It's not something I think any of his teammates knew about. It's probably something he'd just been, you know, bottling up, you know, in hopes that he would be able to speak his voice. I mean, he's not on social media chirping other players. He's not that kind of kid.
Yeah.
I can't speak for everybody on the team, but I know that Jack does all of his talking on the field.
He's a silent assassin.
Yeah, he certainly did that.
He's just a great guy, and he's a great leader. And I was so happy he was able to actually speak up for himself, you know, at the end of the game and say what he felt was right and what was the right thing to do.
Well, he was, you know, he's been very impressive this year. And, you know, it's interesting is I talked to him after the Glastonbury game and I was like, you know, like you're playing really well, you know, what's working. And all he wants to do is talk about the rest of the guys on the team and all the weapons that he has. And then you see the quotes from, you know, Vamalakis, Jack, Charlie, Walligum. Walligum? Is that how you pronounce it? Whalegum, DeLuca. All they're talking about is Jack Wilson, the best quarterback in the state. And like, it's that like mutual respect, but you did have so many different weapons. How do you keep them all, you know, involved when you're, you know, I'm looking at your max prep stats. Vamalakis had 135 carries. Jack Konigsberg had 136. And then you got your receivers, you know, if it's not Walgum, it's Dixon and DeLuca too. Like, how did you keep them all involved and, you know, in this offense where, well, it might not be my day, but, you know, I'm still going to, you know, do what I have to do to help us win?
Well, it's a very easy answer to that. And it's the offensive line. The offensive line allowed us to do everything that we needed to do on the offense. Okay. I think that we had the two best tackles in the state this year. I thought that we had excellent guard play, and our center was one of the peskiest players in the state. The center used all different calls with Jack up front to keep defensive lines off balance, and we were able to run when defenses were playing pass, and we were able to pass when defenses were playing run because the offensive line was so sound all season long. I mean, it makes life so much easier on a play caller, on a quarterback, when you have guys up front giving them time. And they did that.
That must warm your heart, Coach. I mean, you're a trench guy. I mean, you were almost like, you know, striking a blow for the line and wearing with the cut off shirt and
100%.
Yeah,
100% speak with the lineman out there. And you know, I said it to you guys. I just want these guys when they go out there on game day, I want them to be who they can be and be all that they can be, and they should be themselves, and whatever expresses that for them, whatever they're wearing, with the exception of like chains or wristbands, because those are against the rules, whatever they need to do to get themselves to coach their best or play their best, that they should. I don't tell all my coaches they need to be in the red polo and the brown khaki shorts for the game. I tell coaches to just dress to coach your best. And the same with the players. Do what you have to do to play your best. And everybody's a little bit different, and that's okay.
I want to. So we got to talk about the offensive line.
Yeah, but I do want to quickly say I'm really sorry to Vinny Insignia for getting his name wrong in that tweet. I said it was George, not George. I said it was Peter Vamalakis because I had the old roster, not the new. I don't know. But when he caught the pass, he caught the pass, it was great, and I ruined it.
No.
But they were doing everything. Is my point. The O line.
Yeah, Vinny will savor that play for the rest of his life. We threw a backwards pass to Jake Kiernan against Danbury for a 2-point conversion, and Vinny has been on my case about getting him the ball. The rest of the season, he was on my case. It was just so fitting that the ball landed right into his hands, and he was able to take it up the field.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
But I'll catch a pass here.
But like, are you going to play him at tight end next year? He's got hands.
He's graduating.
Yeah.
But
I thought he was a junior.
No, he's a senior.
I thought Vinny was a junior.
No, Johnny is his brother, the linebacker. Johnny Nsinga is the junior.
I'm sorry, Vinny. I wanted you to get the ball because I remember, not to go back, but I remember in 2018 when Marinelli gave Jack Feeder the ball because Jack wanted the ball, and then he fumbled.
Yes,
he was never going to get the ball again.
Yeah.
So, like, I like that you're still giving these O-linemen, these hog mollies, these guys in the trenches, the ball. I love it. You should have had Vinny just run a 2-point conversion. You know what? I think he earned that.
He caught a pass, or he caught I guess it was a fumble, technically, if you really look at it. But he has a carry or whatever it is. He's in his stat sheet forever in the Class AA championship.
4-yard gain. 4-yard gain.
According to Max Preps, it's a catch.
Really?
So shout out to Vinny.
There you go. I'll take that. I mean, if you look at it, he's kind of whatever. I mean,
it was fun though. It was fun to see in a game like that, a play like that, and he was hyped. He was hyped after.
It was the last play of the half.
Yeah, I was glad the officials let it go too, because in no way, shape, or form is that a legal play. No way, shape, or form.
Come on.
If it's a fumble, then it's a rush. But if it was a completed pass, then it was an illegally completed pass.
Yeah, he's offensive line can't be the first person to touch the ball out of the quarterback's hands for it to be a completed pass. Yes. I know my rules.
Oh, exactly. I didn't see any deflections. Got the deflection.
All right, so now the number one, obviously, is there a celebration planned? Is there something going on in town? Maybe, free nuggets from Chicken Joe's.
I know that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I don't really know how this all works at this point. This is all new. State championship week was all new. I drove upstate 3 times last week in preparation for the game. It was exhausting. So you learn a lot your first time through things, and this is the first time we're experiencing a state championship here, at least with this bunch. And I think they're talking about some parade. The soccer team won states, and the golf team won states this year. So really, really, really happy for those coaches and those teams. So maybe we do something all together in town. I know that nothing has really stopped. We haven't been able to stop and smell the roses because we have our annual banquet this Thursday. And, the way the machine here works at Greenwich, we always announce our captains at that banquet for the following season. It's a night to remember our seniors and honor our seniors. I'm sure it'll be a great time on Thursday. But at the same time, this is how we do things. No sense in holding on. For without purpose. We do have work we need to do, and those young guys, those juniors are now seniors in football eyes. Same with all the other classes. And I told this class in January that their season had started, and that 12-month rolling calendar for football has already, come Thursday, it's already starting to roll again for 2023. Doesn't mean we're not going to take time this holiday to enjoy this, and these seniors aren't going to be around for the rest of the school year, because I'm sure they're going to be very present, and they're going to want to help in the weight room and just be around this as long as possible, which is great. But
this is the proverbial first week in the weight room after we were in the state final type of it, right? This is it. This is the day. Go to your local school. Who's in the weight room? Who isn't? For next year. Next year starts right now.
Yep. And we're already behind because last year we had already started. We were done the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, and we had already implemented our 3-week, rollover weight training, and off we went. So, there are teams already that I'm sure, have everything going. So we're already behind the 8 ball.
This time last year, so to speak, were you like, we're winning it all next year? I don't care what. Or it seemed like her kids really, really believed that they were going to be winners.
Yeah, that's the confidence they instilled in themselves. And I know that for me, there's always soul searching, and I'm always looking to, I've always going to second guess myself in this job until we won a state championship, because I've just been involved for so long. 2002 is when I came in as a freshman, and I've just been Greenwich football my whole life since then. So, I put a very high expectations on myself in this leadership position, because if I'm not the one that's going to be getting this team there, then I want to find the person that will, and the person that's going to. So to know that we can reach this goal with the guys that we have here, it just is a confident feeling, and it makes me feel like anything is obtainable now. With this group.
Well, I would like to publicly make a pitch to First Selectman of Greenwich, Fred Camillo, and Governor Ned Lamont, who is from Greenwich. Let's get you a key to the city.
Yeah.
Get you on a float. We'll give you one of those big keys, opens up every door in Greenwich.
Right. You're the first Greenwich guy to coach the team to the championship. Right? Yeah.
Get him a key to the city.
I think that's significant. I think that's a good point, Peter.
You could add it to your big key ring, which I'm sure has keys to open
a lot
up
of keys
doors.
on it. Yes, a lot of keys. Fred actually visited us Thursday of state championship week. He came to practice in his suit. He cheered on the boys and gave them a pep speech and said he would welcome the whole team to the town hall, if they were victorious on Saturday. So it's funny that you mention him, because he was with us, a week ago.
Hopefully Fred listens to the show. Everyone listens to the show. So Fred, I'm talking to you specifically. Key to the city.
Yeah.
Key to the city.
Make it happen.
And then make a yellow pants day. Just one day in the year, everyone has to wear yellow pants.
Those retired for good, man.
They brought him back this year.
Kids wanted them. They're still here.
Mine's in my closet right over there.
I have to really bite my tongue when I speak about those yellow pants. There are a lot of alumni out there.
Wait, did you use them in a win? Were they?
Yes.
That was the first time they were using a win or something like that?
I think it's the second time they were used in a win, and we definitely lost the first two times we wore them. And I remember it was New Canaan, it was 2016, and we went there, and I had a yellow shirt on. I looked like a McDonald's employee. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it was a football game. And sure enough, we lost. I ripped my shirt and split it like Hulk Hogan, and they would go down in infamy from that.
Yeah, I was at that game. It was ugly. Oof. I mean, Drew Pine had a day, if I remember correctly.
Yes. Rough night up front for us.
And I'm like, they won't be wearing these anymore.
Well, I still haven't figured out Chris Silvestri, so I'm glad we didn't play them this year. That guy.
Bring back the FCI championship, Coach? Right? Bring back the FCI championship game.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we could talk all day about that.
We could, but we won't. We've taken up plenty of your time here, Coach, but we appreciate you coming on a little bit. And let's get working on that key to the city thing.
Let's get
Charlie Dix at a state dinner. I'm holding you to that one too.
Oh, no question.
He lit up the stat sheet. I couldn't, he was just.
Well, it was great though, just about him, just quickly. Anthony, you and I spoke before the Trumbull game, and he didn't play because he had gotten banged up in the St. Joe's game, and he was coming along really well. He was having a great beginning of the season. Then he got hurt, and then he would pop up, whether it was offense, defense. He played great in the Southington game. And then I was watching Sean's Twitter from Central, and I'm like, yes, Charlie finally getting the big moment. So I'd love to see that because I know how important he was, and his name might not have gotten mentioned throughout the year as much as a lot of the other guys were. So it was nice to see him. And that photo Sean posted of him just looking around, what the hell just happened was incredible.
He was just so overwhelmed. He was just looking around he couldn't believe what he was seeing. He's with his own eyes. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. His brain was telling him what happened. but he was just soaking it in.
I
Coach,
love
I've never
that.
seen anybody
I
happier.
love that. That's high school football, man. That is high school football at its finest right there.
Yep. And there's nobody more deserving.
Yeah.
So that's what makes you feel even better about it, is that, he's a great kid and he works hard, and everybody loves to see their name in lights, but like not everybody is deserving of it. So really, really happy for him.
Well, you certainly deserved it. You've navigated a lot of, and a lot of coaches, it's hard to get through COVID, but pressure cooker like you guys there. And, I know it's kind of crazy it gets, and that's what happens. You take over, you played there, it was all, you guys, I don't remember. No, you didn't win a state championship, right? At Greenwich?
No, I went 0 for 4. 0 for 4.
Yeah. Well, now you're 1 for 5. So,
but there's been one constant though for the 20 years or whatever that I've been affiliated with Greenwich High School, and that's the kids. I mean, they're always going to be hard workers. They're always going to be great. They're going to be respectful. They're going to take to coaching, and I truly believe that with a group like this, if they didn't win the state championship this year, it would have been because of the coaching and not because of the players, the talent, or the effort on their end.
Last shout out. I think you guys deserve a Greenwich Football Day at Yankee Stadium next summer. What do you think?
Wow.
What do you think? Let's make it happen. Cashman, he's a guy. He's a local guy. Boone, obviously.
Ooh. Yeah.
What do you think, man? There you go. Then have the mayor.
Can we come?
I'll buy my own ticket just to go.
You have my blessing. Everybody can come. You can bring Fornabayo too.
Yeah.
He works real hard. He deserves it.
Yeah.
He picked prep. No big deal.
Yeah. He picked. Yeah. Well, we got Cashman. Obviously Boone can pull some strings there. So I'd love to see that too. You guys are whatever happens. Even if you get a parade or whatever, key to the city.
Key to the city. Sean, we're pitching the key to the city. We're cutting this. I'm putting it on Twitter.
Whatever
and I'm tagging everybody.
Whatever happens, you still, no matter what, you still just have that trophy. So congratulations, Coast. Heck of a job this year. Truly.
Oh, thank you guys. And thank you for all you do. I said a little bit to you last week, but you guys are making memories. You're captured. It's the days of needing to clip newspaper articles into a little montage. They're going to have video articles that they can keep for a lifetime, and you guys do that every year. And I wish I had it when I was a kid, and just got great respect for all the time you put in. And I know you're going right to basketball and hockey and all things other sports related now too. So God bless you both.
Well, we'll be taking a little bit of a break.
Just a little bit, but thank you so much for the kind words, Coach. And thank you so much for joining us. I know it's there is no off season. So, we really do appreciate the time.
All right.
I look forward to seeing you guys soon.
All right. Thanks, Coach. So Pete, Tony Morello, couldn't happen to a greater guy who loves the sport, loves his kids, puts his heart and soul into it. And, watching him, he was just he was emotional after the game, winning his first state championship, after everything he's been through. Everyone's went through COVID, but now he's in the pressure cooker. Coach Albanizio got run out of town, and they brought Johnny in to bring that. He wasn't winning enough titles, Coach Al. Coach Al won his titles 07, 06, 07, but then they weren't even winning games enough, Greenwich, and the dogs were out, and they needed new life, new blood, and they brought Johnny in to like the Pied Piper. He really cleaned up this town, and then Johnny left for a well-deserved college career, and then Tony comes in, and he's from Greenwich, he played there, state, and all that stuff, and it just was, he wasn't getting over the hump, and finally he does with a great team, his first freshman class, and I thought it was great for him.
Yeah, I mean, you can't not root for Anthony or for Coach Morello, but I'm glad it didn't come up in the interview. I was at both of those quarterfinal losses in 19 and 21. I know I'm the kiss to death for a lot of teams, but I'm glad that didn't come up. I was there in Darien in 19 when they lost, and I was at Rafferty last year when they lost to Prep. Yeah. But I was at the semifinal game this year, so I think you're out. I think I'm good, yeah, but I'm pretty sure when they saw you at Rentschler, they were like, "Oh, thank God, Pete's not here." Thank God Pete's not here because I just don't have the luck for them. I was at the Southington loss. I've seen more than half of the Greenwich losses under Morello. So I was very happy that they got to win. I was very happy that the voters picked them as the number one team in the state. I think it was very well deserved. I think top to bottom roster, they have the best team. I think they had the best team this year, and it all clicked. It all worked. You have a lot of mouths to feed on that team, and not one of those kids seems selfish in the slightest.
No.
I mean, we talked about it in the interview. I mean, Vamalakis and Jack Konensberg. Vamalakis and Jack Konensberg had identical carries.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. And it's just it's a real credit to that coaching staff, not only Coach Morello, but the rest of the guys. And one of my favorite guys, Bruce Cunningham.
Yeah, Bruce Cunningham.
Bruce was very good to me when I first started covering the FCAC when he was at Wilton. So happy for Bruce as well. Yeah. He's a Greenwich guy.
Yeah, I did not know that, but that's where he started too. And good for him. Good for Hawk. Hawk was coach at Stanford forever. They got like it's like an all-star FCAC coaching team there. But the one thing we did not talk about all season long, Pete, and the thing we can kind of leave it off at this is, who is our player of the year? And I'll tell you a little story here. Usually this time of year, Gatorade has announced its state player of the year. They haven't done it yet.
Nope.
I don't know if they've done it overall. Have they done it overall?
I haven't seen anything, but I know for a fact that Victor Rosa was named Gatorade Player of the Year before the state playoffs started. If I remember correctly.
It might have been that week.
Yeah.
It might have been the week between the, I don't remember, but.
And I remember the Jason Rose, Mark Ivanchek Gatorade Player of the Year was announced before the semifinal.
Yeah.
We're 4 days after the championships, and we don't have Gatorade.
Well, the first player of the year we've just seen is, drum roll, David Cassetti for Ansonia. Just dropped now. Max Preps called it. I didn't know Max Preps had a player of the year. So I
think they started it last year. They started it last year. Their list of previous winners is just Victor Rosa.
David Cassetti becomes the Max Preps player of the year. I can't argue with that. David Cassetti had an amazing year for Ansonia. Without him, they don't win the state championship. He was not only a good running back. He was also good like linebacker or defensive player. Maybe he was a DB or something, but
he was a linebacker.
Yeah, he was a linebacker. He was a great player, dominant. He certainly got first team all state written all over him. So certainly a good, but who else out there? I mean, but I'll say this much. There's no clear going into the championships for sure. There was really no clear cut winner. We were kind of looking at who might do well. Who's gonna rise above? Because last year it was Cam Edwards, who we selected as our player of the year, and Victor Rosa. Yep.
I mean, that was our conversation, was who is it? Is it Cam, who did it against the FCAC, even though his team didn't make the playoffs, and Victor, who put up incredible numbers at Bristol Central? And we went with Cam Edwards, and both are playing at UConn right now. Victor had a great freshman year, and Cam, if you listen to the interview with Jim Mora, they're very high on Cam.
Yeah,
a lot of potential with him. I'm looking at it, and I'm very interested to see how our conversations are going to go when we begin to select this all-state team. I think there's like 5 potential candidates. Cassetti is one of them. Tyler Clark from Staples is one of them.
Had a great
Rowan Johnson from Trumbull has the numbers. Great season. They did not make the playoffs, but he had a really good season. Lincoln Cardilla, not only offense, but in the kicking game. John Niter, he was Jonathan Law this year. And they gave Notre Dame a run in the semifinals.
Yeah, because of John Niter.
Up there.
And you know what's really sad about John Niter is I never saw him live.
No, I did.
I know you did. You were all over Niter last year. I only just came around on him after the foreign performance, and I'm like, wow, big spot, and he does that. He accounted for 4 TDs. 6 touchdowns. He ran for 2 and threw for 4, something like that. Was it 4 or the other way around? I don't remember, but he had ridiculous numbers. And talking to some of the coaches, Niter had a season that basically he was like, if you take him off, maybe Law's nowhere where they were. He just was the guy who made that team go.
Yeah,
So
and then one other guy who I completely forgot to mention is Danny Shaven.
Oh, I was about to mention him.
Yeah, I
We
just
went into the
I mean, I
season
think I just
knowing-
mentioned 6 guys.
We went into the season looking at I'm a lacrosse.
I was all aboard the Shaven train.
I was at lacrosse game. It was New Milford versus Barlow at Barlow, and Danny said, we'll see you at football season. I'm fired up. Like, he was fired up for football season. I came back home. I go, Pete, he's ready. And Pete, you immediately jumped on the bandwagon. I went with Cromwell
You
Portland.
went with Cromwell Portland. Which was not a bad pick.
Not a bad pick, but they had no answers. No answers for Barlow, which wins its first state championship. Great job by TJ.
And that's another thing. Coach of the year.
Oh yeah, who is?
I mean, you got TJ won the school's first title. Sagnella won the school's first title. Lou Marinelli, who probably I'm going to try and say this in the nicest way possible, might have been the hardest state title he has won in terms of talent in recent memory.
Yeah.
Not an explosive offense, great defense, great special teams, obviously, to win a game, a 16-13 game. I mean, I got to look back at the history of New Canaan. I don't think they've ever won a game scoring 16 points in a state final. Maybe probably a little lower, but I'm sure it's possible. But you got Lou, then you got Anthony Morello.
Yeah.
I mean, to win with all that pressure and everything that he had to follow at Greenwich, being a Greenwich guy, obviously Tom Brockett, they went undefeated.
Yeah.
They went undefeated. They were down.
And they had to rally
5
times or 6 times.
6 times, including the state finals. They were down in the second half and rallied to win that game. Tom is very deserving. Joe DiCaprio is very deserving at Notre Dame. And then talk about the teams that didn't win state championships.
You forgot Sags, man.
I mentioned Sags at the beginning. And then you talk about the coaches who didn't win state titles who had great years. Kevin Quinn at SMSA, 10-1, great season. Lost to Wilton 14-7 in FCAC school in the first round of the playoffs. Joe Della Vecchia at St. Joe's in what was a tumultuous offseason for that program, on the field and off the field, and to get them to be a 9-1 team going into the first round of the playoffs. That's just an incredible job by Joe. Keith Helstern, who's starting 1-3, getting hot, rallying, winning 8 in a row, and getting to the finals for the second year in a row. There's so many worthy candidates for Coach of the Year. So many. This is not going to be easy.
No, it's just befitting of the year. It was that type of year. We didn't have a clear-cut number one. We don't have a clear-cut player of the year.
No.
We don't have a clear-cut coach of the year. I mean, there's no one guy you're like, wow, so it's going to be a fun next week or so as we pick these things. We got to have this.
We got less than a week.
Yeah, we got less than a week. Yeah, we got 2. Yeah, we got to have this done by Sunday. So we're going to be meeting over the next few days. I know the coaches have met for their coaches association. To answer your question quick, Pete, about Lou and that state championship, that is the least amount of points they did ever score in a state final. I think 20 when they beat Naugatuck in his first title, 20-12. I think that was the other that was the lowest until then. And he also beat Darien 21-20 in the Class L large. I don't remember title.
In 2014
game.
Yeah.
Well, Lou won a state championship in 1982. And then didn't win another one until 1993 when I was a senior in high school. They beat Han 35-14. So that was a long gap. And he's got 13. So think about that for a minute. Then his next title was 2001. In the past 20 years, Lou has won 11 state championships. 11 in 20 years.
Yeah.
Which is 21 years, which is wild. 20 seasons. Just an unbelievable job. And I don't see any signs of him slowing. So good job by Lou.
And they could win it all different ways.
So, Pete, I guess we'll call that a podcast and we'll call that a football season. We got plenty more to go. We got, like you said, all states going to be hard picking them. Do you have it? I mean, I don't know. I was going to ask you I don't know if we should pick our players of the year here because like we did last year because
No, because we need to come to a consensus.
We need to figure it out first. I couldn't pick. I mean,
we need to be a united front.
Yeah. I mean, Niner, Wilson. I know. I mean, the Gatorade guys. The thing I brought about Gatorade was Gatorade's calling me, asking me what I think. And I'm like, so they don't know. They don't know either.
It was a tough year. There was a lot of good players.
Tough. So we're gonna call that a podcast, the Meat Grinder. Second full season as a YouTube outfit as well, and we're hoping to do a lot more in the future. So that'll look forward to that. We got winter season coming up. We got hockey. We got basketball. We got Mohegan Sun. I mean, we got a whole new season. 5 state champions of basketball. Joe, don't get me started.
You save that for the basketball podcast.
Oh man, I didn't say much about this one because this is a celebration. But anyway, all right. So I guess we're gonna call that a podcast. Pete, thank you for joining me all year. We got a nice a few months off. I don't know. This has been fun, but it's been a lot of work. Thank God I'm gonna be getting a nice hibernation the next few weeks after we do our teams. But thanks for joining us. We had a lot of fun here. A lot of people seem to really respond, so we thank you. We got a lot of nice messages. Even though I got, my balls broken by Sal DeMano and all the guys at North Haven and Notre Dame, and but it was fun. Listen, we got to take a few shots here. Someone's got to be the bad guy, right? You got to twist the.
It's usually me.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't mention who won the picks.
Dave Stewart won.
I fell off, man, at the end. I'm usually good in the finals. 6 finalists, I can't. Oh, well, what are you going to do? So, anyway, for Pete Paguaga, I am Sean Patrick Bowley. Thank you for joining us all year. This has been the Meat Grinder on GameTimeCT.
Love you all.